Alright guys, so I had to delete the last few minutes of the last video. I haven't uploaded it yet, but I'm going to upload it. I realized there was a lady with a wagon that pulled a kid by, and I don't think you can see the kid's face, but I don't want to get any kids on these videos. Obviously, I don't even think you're allowed to, but that's the main reason why I stopped the last video. So this one's going to be a real short one. I'm going to upload the previous one and this one. I think the something important I need to say is, if the RCMP wore body cams like most police officers wear in the United States, probably all. I don't know if some of them are wearing them in some areas, but that would eliminate pretty much them being able to do what they do, because I would have interacted with a police officer. It would have been on a body cam. They wouldn't be able to falsify a report. I realized my last video had like a snarl in it, so I don't think I usually do, but I think I might have a little one sometimes. So that would just eliminate it all, because those police body cams would go onto a server or a hard drive somewhere and be stored for however long, and then anyone could request a police report, and you could request the body cam footage, and you would see that these cops are just completely lying, or at least not doing their job, or there would at least be a record. Like, even if the cop told me to, I swear a lot, so maybe I need to stop, but I'm going to say, even if the cop, just brushed me off and left, there would still be a video of me explaining that I caught someone crawling in the eave of my house to get into my attic, or that I caught this person in my cable box, or names, me handing over dozens of license plates to this VPD officer would be on body cam. And then, so like, when I go talk to him, is he gonna have all this? Did he actually put it in the file? I highly doubt it, but if time allows me, then I'll figure that out. So that's like, I'll try and start one aspect of this, a video or a couple, and just try and after this, I'm just gonna have to go and start talking to them, and I obviously know who these people are. I've told you who they are. So the number one thing, like, what do I want to accomplish here? That cops need to start wearing body cams all over Canada, and that will protect anyone, like where I'm from, Vancouver, will protect them from cops writing malicious to false reports. And there's a few other things, but I'm not sure on the cop specific if that's really the only thing that matters. Honestly, I don't think there's anything else to say. I know cops can turn them on and off sometimes, but if you're actually making a claim and they're coming to see you and they're always turned off, then that's suspicious on its own. So they would have to at least turn it on when they're talking to you, and when they excuse themselves to talk to themselves. If they want to turn it off, I suppose they can. That's something that they do, obviously. I've watched cops before, I've seen it, which would totally be fine. So that's the main thing that I'll be pushing for here, is that all our RCMP officers and police wear body cams. We have Surrey, Delta, and RCMP, and there's a few others, VPD. So I guess you would have to have all of them wear body cams as well. So however you would go about that, politicians, protesting, to just signing, like, go around and get signatures of the public that are interested in that. I really don't know, but that is the 100% the one way that you would prevent this from happening. What else is there to say? I mean, I would say that you actually need a federal police force in Canada. I mean, they say the RCMP is, so what does it make it federal? The fact that there's RCMP officers in every province of the country that considers it federal. Well, then we need 2 federal police forces then, because we actually need a police force that's not tied, whether it's called, whatever they want to call it, that's not, you going to a police force and saying, hey, look, you're working with a dirty cop. And you know how that goes. Like, if you start going accusing, someone, let's call them brothers, they probably are considered a bit of a brotherhood. They're probably not going to be so quick to write up a report or stab their friend or just someone they know in the back, because they know if someone else came and complained about them and accused them of accusations, they wouldn't want them just to blatantly write up reports. So I will attempt to, you're supposed to go to where you live. So like when I did go to a couple different police stations, they usually just refer you back to the city that it's in. So like a RCMP officer from Chilliwack probably doesn't want to be writing a report about an RCMP officer in Richmond. They assume you can just call or go down there and speak to an officer, and or there's a number on the wall that you message, and then there should be some sort of an investigation about it. But like, is that are those is that number on the wall that report, is this like an authority that's gonna actually have a big investigation and out corrupt cops? Because how would you out these cops? Okay, let's even get more into this. So this is something that I believe Canada and the United States needs to worry about. So they're operating in Washington State. That's the United States. I'll have to go down to the States, and I'll take you to a few places that I know and a few people that I know. It's definitely a gas station just in Blaine there. I only know one of them, and then there's one just before Seattle. I can't even remember the one, but it has one of those pumps that if you don't push it in, it doesn't pump. So, but I know which gas station it is. And of course, I went there. The guy talked about it. Talked about a guy that would be, and then the girl would pretend like she's doing training or something. And I went in there, and they literally like played the same act this guy said. I couldn't even believe it. I was laughing. It was quite funny. So why do they have, like, I don't exactly know. He said once you'd have to go past Portland. Now I don't know if he was talking about Apple stores or what he was talking about of getting out of their bubble. I'll have to think about that. I'm not sure if that's important, but he did mention you'd have to go all the way to Portland. So maybe that's to get out of, it could be the Apple store bubble. Like maybe they have employees that work in Seattle, but let's skip that. I'm not sure. But this is how absolutely you could. So how would someone that's not me, a police force or a proper investigation, uncover what I'm saying, prove what I'm saying, and actually do some good here? And let's say take down this network. Let's say. So the only 2 things I can think of is that there's a proper investigation, and you go and you talk to these Apple store employees that work through Vancouver. There's 4 stores. Now there's maybe 10 of them that maybe take a little money and work with these guys, and then there's probably another 10 or 20 that just know about it. They don't want anything to do with it, but they have beers with these guys after work, like this Mike guy and this Gord guy, and there's a few others I know. I just don't know their names. I'm going to try to stop describing people. I'm not trying to come off like it matters what nationality these people are. It doesn't make any difference. It's just that when I don't know the name of someone and I'm talking about someone that works at a specific store, then it's the description I can give. And if you go into that store, you'll be like, oh, this, like, it just allows, for someone to maybe, if they ever do an investigation, a proper one, that they can use this information for the good. So all you would have to do is start talking to employees of these stores, start talking to some of these people. These guys aren't all bad people. They're literally just, I mean, I'm going to say selling out a country, but they're literally just taking a bit of money to maybe afford the high inflation we have in Vancouver. And a lot of them will probably fold. You get them in a police room and you start talking to them, I'm going to say 50% of them are probably going to fold and spill their guts. It's not something that you couldn't just start like putting a bit of time and investigating into and start uncovering that what I'm saying is actually true. And then if you want to take it a step further, I would say that if like anyone in the United States or in an authority role, or you know, if we're talking FBI, if we're talking like Palantir, like I've given you names of these officers, I'm pretty sure those guys can listen into their phones. These guys all use probably pay as you go, but they probably have their own phones as well. But they use Chatter, and I believe they're in a WhatsApp chat. I think I might have said that before. I kind of forget what I said before, but all they would have to do is literally just start monitoring their phones and listening, and you'll hear these guys talking about it. They'll be sending texts, they'll be having conversations. You'll actually be able to probably look at their phones and see who they coordinate with. Now that's something that I'm probably think is never going to happen. Like that's above and beyond, like, you know, but being from Vancouver, BC, it should be no problem for there to be a police investigation into this information and these videos that I make. I mean, is it going to take funding? Maybe it takes funding. I don't know. But I don't think there's anything more important to investigate than, you know, like Canada doesn't have RICO. If we had RICO, this would be completely RICO, would it not be? You know, an organization working together for a certain, and then who knows about taxes and stuff like that. So that's basically like my hopes in doing these videos, is that at a certain point that someone else that isn't a citizen, because I'm literally just a tax-paying citizen like everyone else. This isn't my job to do this. You know, I'm not supposed to be the one making videos or investigating or doing any of this. I'm literally just supposed to report this, and then someone else does it, you know. And is it possible that I could talk to the right person and they will investigate it? Yeah, I suppose. I mean, I imagine you have to start getting up the line to like chiefs or politicians, you know. Like I've thought about flying to Ottawa, and but the first step is just to get a little of this online, and at least have some sort of foundation into what I'm talking about, because I think it's a very difficult thing to explain. I think it's very difficult for people to just take my word for it, to believe that this is even possible. Like I said, I've grown up here my whole life, and I'm not sure if I would believe me. I'm not lying. So it's yeah. So that's my short video for today. I'll load up the one I made yesterday. I'll load this one up, and then I'll have to start thinking about where I want to go with this. There's so many more like places and information and people that I do know about, but at this point I feel like I've probably said, I know myself, I'm going to end up saying more people, I'm sure, but I don't want to like just be sitting here talking to this low-grade camera phone that I got. That's probably a phone that's, I'm assuming they have some sort of access to. Oh, so I didn't even say this. I did make a 5-minute video. I'll think about loading it up. So I go to my Apple ID yesterday, and I go to download, was it YouTube Studio? I think something, but I had to go put my what's it called, iCloud, my Apple ID password in to get the download, and my Apple ID password was changed. So this phone's Apple ID password has been the same for 6 weeks. I've used it dozens of times. I've never forgotten it. There's no mistaking it. I have it written down. But this is the same thing they were able to do, and I think I figured out, I probably won't post that video because I think I figured out how they did it. So I downloaded the app after that. It's like the Apple app that you can do a recovery on, and you just click in it, and it says recovery for your phone or someone else's phone. And you can literally put the number in of anyone's phone. So all these people need is a phone number. And I didn't go past that because it's my own phone. I don't think I can click in my own number and click to another phone. So I'll have to go the next step further to see what they're doing. Now, do they have to put the serial number in after that? I'm not sure. But that tells me that they don't have the password. They can't see me doing the passwords on my phone, because they would rather have access and keep the password the same. But to get access to my Apple ID and I guess whatever information apps I'm downloading or using, I'm not exactly sure why they're resetting my Apple ID password. I've looked to see if there's other devices on my, and I've never noticed it yet. Like in the last few weeks or since I realized my ID password was changed. So I'll keep going in there a few days and signing into my account to make sure my password isn't changed like every couple of days, or to see when they change it again. But how is someone like, so maybe this is a fault of Apple, that you can change passwords of an Apple ID from another person's device. So maybe they got to stop that. But for the most part, I think Apple's got pretty good security other than Apple ID. That's the crutch of Apple. Now, the worst thing about it is I believe I have an iCloud account. So when you have an iCloud account, your Apple ID, actually your password is the same password as your email. So you definitely, anyone that's got an iPhone that's listening to this, do not use an iCloud account for your Apple ID. Use either Gmail, Hotmail, Office, whatever it is. So then at least when someone goes in and does a change of your Apple ID password, they're not going to have an email, maybe an important email password as well. So what were they doing with that password? Were they getting some confirmation email sent? Did it, like if I log into Twitter, Facebook with Apple instead of my phone number, or instead of a 2 authentication app, which I think is probably the best thing to do. But I know those 2 authentication apps can be kind of frustrating for people. They usually give you 30 seconds to put in a code and stuff like that. But that actually is the answer to stopping these guys from being able to go in and change things in your account. So that's why I have no doubt eventually they're going to be able to get into taking a video down, a YouTube account, anything that's authenticated to this phone number. You basically can't have it. And 90% of the time, it doesn't matter. No one cares what your phone number is. No one's doing anything 99% of the time. But as soon as they have your phone number, that's a start. Then as soon as they have serial numbers of your devices, anyone at the Apple Store can look up your serial number and see what your Apple ID is. So now, so you wouldn't be able to change someone's Apple ID with just their phone number. That's why they need both. So they get your Apple ID from these guys that work at the Apple Store. Their main function is to get your MAC address, your serial number of your devices, and then they can see your Apple ID. They can't look up your Apple ID and find your serial numbers, but they can look up your serial numbers and find your Apple ID. So now when they have a phone number to your phone at any point with any device, they can go in and do a recovery password. So I forgot my password.com, or apply. There's something in Apple, you go to apply.com or something like that. Or, like I said, I downloaded the app yesterday to see how these guys, I'm like, how are these guys changing this password? At this point, I mean, I don't even care. Like, I just change it back, but they're doing it for a reason, why do these guys keep, so the best bet for me is, so let's, okay, let me make sure this is recording, because I'll say a little bit more. Okay, it's still recording. Okay, so let's go back a couple of years when this first started. So I literally was so dumb, I didn't realize I could just keep changing my password back. And that's probably why I went through 2 or 3 phones, pros, because I just started getting rid of my phones at a certain point. I'm like, these guys are somehow getting into my stuff through, I don't think I understood it as well as what I just explained. But So they would change my Apple ID password, and then I would be like, I was thinking like once they have the IMEI number of your phone, you're done, which is kind of true, but it's so you don't want them to have the IMEI number, MAC address, Apple ID, or your phone number. You start collecting all of those, they'll be able to always at least be able to monitor or change passwords potentially. Well, with your phone number, I don't know if they can really hack you with just a phone number, but that's definitely to change your Apple ID. The other thing is it's got to be through like Discord, it's got to be through like WhatsApp, sending you those phishing schemes, having you click on something you shouldn't, pulling you to a bad URL through an ISMI catcher. That's another way that they can do it. So the way that works is, I'm just going to explain this. Hopefully I don't have to explain it again. I know I might be repeating myself from the first video, but they will, when you go to that bad URL, so they can either have you put in information like it's a fake website of some sort for a credit card bank. But the other way, I believe, is they can have you click on something nefarious, and then that gives them very small access to your phone. Like I said, when it dies, I think they lose that connection, because iPhone is really that good about security and malware. And I would say that's pretty much I might be leaving a few things out but that's pretty much everything they can do. That's all they can do. I know computers are probably a little worse. They can do a little bit more with computers, but that's their limitations of what they can do. So that's why I'm not even that worried at this point. Like, I shouldn't have gotten rid of all these nice phones, because I was so worried about, like, once someone's like even like has any like I'm the type of person, once someone gets into anything, I like, or something's not right, I'm like, no, I don't want, like, I've almost stopped using phones for like 6 months. I stopped like calling. I didn't have an Apple ID on my phone for a long time. The computer I have, I can never put an Apple ID on again, because they have the serial number of it, you know. Okay, so now let's get into, so that's everything I know that they can do through iPhone. I can't tell you anything about any other company or phone or like, this is all I use. This is all I know. I'll never change. And I think it might be a good thing that I did use it, because maybe it saved me some, you know, maybe that saved me from losing money in the past. I don't know. The other thing is, we were talking about the cellular networks. So there's 3 companies, main ones. There's maybe 2 or 3 smaller ones in pay-as-you-go here. So how to change this? How do we put these guys out of business without this needing to be a conspiracy or some insane thing? Well, the next step would be these network companies, and I know Rogers for a fact has made it so when you go in and try and change a SIM card or something in your account, you have to actually take a picture of yourself, and it's got to be sent along. So you scan a QR thing, and then you got to send a picture of yourself. So these people would have to acquire that to do any changes to your account. Then the next step they would, next step, they would need your postal code. So as long as they have the postal code, which these guys find out where you live pretty easy, they would be able to access your Rogers account and either do a SIM swap, which your SIM will stop working, but that'll give them access to your phone number and be able to get pretty much all your 2 authentication. I think most people use their phone for 2 authentication. Bell and Telus, I will have to research exactly what they're doing, but the fact that Rogers just recently made you have to do this picture thing tells me they're aware of it. They're obviously aware there's something going on, because that is like a real extra amount of security to put on someone accessing your account. Unfortunately, I'm going to say they can still access my account. I'll explain that later, but I will even tell you the kiosk that the pictures were taken on, and the lady acted like my phone wouldn't work for it, and then grabbed one of their phones and did it. And I walked away from the kiosk, and I'm like, and I'm just thinking, like, she just got all that info on this random phone there. And then I remember I turned around and I could see her using that random phone. So either this employee was a really, really good employee deleting that information, or she was like sending that information. So I don't know like what the deal was, but she was like, I couldn't believe it. I turned around and I looked for like two minutes and she's still on that phone, like clicking stuff. And I'm thinking, what is she using the show model phone that she just took a picture to do the identification and all this for? And I just left it. I'm at the point where I'm like, what am I gonna do? I'm just baffled by this situation at the moment. Like I'm obviously not happy about it, but I've learned to just laugh about it at this point. So what else can I say? You know what? I'll end it there. I know I do a bit of rambling, guys. I don't know if this is entertaining in any way. This is more about documentation. And any names I use, information, companies, they're all made up. They don't mean anything. I just making up randomness here, guys. So I'm not implying anything about any company ever in these videos. Yeah, anyways, I wish you guys well, and I'll have to put a little thought into, oh shit, I can already see kids walking by. They're not on the camera though, but I would never want to ever get a kid on one of these videos. It's not like, you know, a fun time YouTube video. Okay, thanks guys. I appreciate anyone that's listening. I'm sure I don't have many views, but like I said, I'm going to save all these videos, and I did start a Twitter account. The one thing about Twitter is, so they can take down this YouTube and take down these videos. Eventually, I'm sure they want to, but, or if they can, I'm not even sure. But when you actually start using Twitter, and, you know, they could take over your Twitter account, but when you tweet to people, that's permanent, you know, that's on their history. So I mean, I believe, so even if I lose my Twitter account, anything that I do tweet out there should stay out there. So I was thinking about that yesterday, so might try and get verified on Twitter, and that probably might actually be the better place to be doing videos. I'll probably try both, but these are probably the two platforms I'll ever use. And I did start a Kick account, but I'm not sure if that's the place that I feel like YouTube and Twitter are the places to be doing anything that involves news or shit, I don't even know what you call this. All right, guys, that's enough. Thanks, appreciate y'all. See ya.